In 2025, this nation with the most advanced technology is experiencing a quiet housing revolution, not building more homes, but seeing more and more people turn their cars into their only shelter. The data is alarming. Homelessness exploded 18% in 1 year, over 770,000 people. But what's more shocking is the makeup. Many aren't homeless in the traditional sense. They have jobs, income, social security cards, everything except a fixed address. Their home is a car parked at Walmart, a gas station, or a street corner. This isn't choice, it's a survival strategy forced upon them. When rent rockets upward, when wages crawl like turtles, when laws start punishing people sleeping on streets, the result is America is forming a homeless class on wheels. Today I'll take you deep into 5 core truths behind this phenomenon, showing why in 2025, cars are no longer just transportation, but have become the last refuge after the American dream shattered. Truth 1. The death spiral of rent and income. Let's start with the most brutal numbers. Los Angeles 1-bedroom, $2,800 a month. New York, over $4,000. What does that mean? A full-time minimum wage worker needs to work 80 hours just to afford 1 month's rent, and there are only 168 hours in a week. What's more ironic is wage growth. Over the past year, average U.S. raises were under 4%, while rent jumped over 20% in the same period. This is a race you simply cannot win. One organization calculated precisely, every time average rent rises $100, homelessness increases 9%. This isn't a linear relationship, it's an avalanche effect. Once you cross a certain threshold, the entire bottom of the middle class collapses on a massive scale. A nurse's aide in Boston told me, "I make $3,200 a month, but a studio apartment is $2,400. After food and transportation, I can't save anything. When my landlord raised it $400 last year, I moved into my car. Now I park at the hospital employee lot. At least I'm close to work." She's not lazy, not a failure. She's a victim of this twisted economic model. Cars transformed from tools toward freedom into last havens. People used to say, buy a car to get to work. Now it's, you need a car to keep your job. The steering wheel no longer points toward dreams. It points toward survival in the cracks. The core problem isn't individual choice, it's system design. Why does a country with the world's most vacant properties create such a massive housing chasm? Why is there such an enormous gap between having a job and having a place to live? Truth 2. The car-dwelling army forgotten by data. Here lies a statistical black hole. Official data shows over 256,000 people living in unstable housing. Cars, temporary warehouses, roadsides. But the actual number? Possibly 3 to 5 times that. Why? Because car dwellers have a special ability, invisibility. Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority reports show people living in cars have surpassed those in tents. But they're not counted in street statistics, don't fit the unsheltered definition, aren't included in emergency assistance systems. They exist in policy's gray zone, not desperate enough to draw attention, not stable enough to be ignored. Why choose cars over shelters? Shelter reality is brutal. Wait in line for beds, submit to drug tests, get kicked out at dawn, endure noise and insecurity. Cars provide something shelters can't, autonomy. A former teacher describes it. In my car, I can lock the door. I can decide when to sleep and wake. I can keep a shred of human dignity. Though the space is cramped, at least it's my space. This is the car-dwelling paradox. It lets people maintain a normal appearance, but also makes them completely disappear from social support networks. Imagine this scenario. A 55-year-old retired teacher with a paid-off Honda Civic. Health insurance expires. Chronic medication costs double. Apartment lease ends with landlord raising rent 30%. She calculates, either medication or rent. Finally, she chooses a third path. Live in the car. Use saved money for medicine. During the day, she reads at the library, uses free Wi-Fi at fast food places, showers at the gym, monthly fee 90% cheaper than rent. At night, she parks at a 24-hour supermarket lot, between 2 rows of streetlights, unnoticeable. Nobody knows she's homeless. Including herself, she won't admit it. Society labels them vehicularly housed unsheltered. What a bureaucratic expression. But the reality behind it. A massive group is disappearing from the city map, living in our blind spots. They're not escaping poverty. They're escaping the identity brand of the poor. Truth 3. How law creates invisible people. June 2024 was a watershed. The Supreme Court ruled, cities have the right to ban camping in public spaces and can fine or imprison violators. Within months of the decision, at least 50 U.S. cities passed anti-camping laws. On the surface, it's cleaning streets. In reality, it's clearing away the poor, clearing them from sight. The effect was immediate. San Francisco's tent numbers dropped 45%, Portland 38%. Media cheered, city order restored. But where did these people go? The answer is parking lots. San Francisco data shows 2022 to 2024, vehicles used as dwellings increased 37%. The timeline perfectly corresponds with law implementation. This isn't coincidence, it's causation. Policy logic is, you can be poor, but I can't see your poverty. You can be homeless, but must be sheltered, even if that shelter is just a car's metal roof. A perfect vicious cycle formed. Can't sleep in parks, you'll be fined. Can't sleep on sidewalks, you'll be driven away. Can't park long-term, you'll be ticketed. If your car breaks down, you're completely homeless. A San Diego veteran describes, they tore down my tent, I got in my car. Then got fined $150 for overnight parking. I couldn't pay the fine, my license got suspended. Without a license, I can't drive to work. You see how the system pushes you step by step into the abyss. More insidious are safe parking programs. Some cities designate specific zones allowing car dwellers to legally stay. Sounds humane? In essence, it's centralized management and spatial segregation. This is a 21st century slum, just mobile, dispersed, easier to ignore. When laws start defining legitimate forms of poverty, we need to be vigilant. Because the next step might be normalizing and institutionalizing car dwelling, packaging systemic failure as flexible housing solutions. Every car silent in the darkness isn't just a temporary shelter. It's a silent indictment, indicting how a society makes poverty invisible through legislation. Truth 4. The squeezed middle class. Most mind-blowing. The car dweller profile completely defies traditional imagination. UCLA conducted in-depth research with stunning results. 52% have full-time jobs. 35% are over 50. 67% previously rented or owned property. 89% have no substance abuse issues. 71% have high school education or above. They're not marginal people abandoned by society. They're ordinary people squeezed out by economic structures. A new sociological term was born, middle-tier homeless, not poor enough to qualify for aid, not rich enough to maintain basic housing. They've fallen through the cracks in the welfare system. San Jose has a former software engineer whose company laid him off with severance. He planned to find another job, but age 50 got him rejected everywhere. Severance barely covered 6 months' rent. Then he made a decision. Keep the car, give up the apartment. I have a 2015 Honda Odyssey. Back seats fold flat for a mattress. I park at a gym lot. $49 monthly membership, can shower and use bathrooms. Industrial zone has free Wi-Fi where I send out resumes. Laundromat once a week. Keep costs under $300 monthly. Severance can last over a year. He doesn't think he's homeless. He thinks he's making a tactical adjustment. This is a self-protection mechanism, maintaining self-respect by redefining home. But the system doesn't see it that way. Because he has a car, he doesn't qualify for emergency housing assistance. Because he has severance, he doesn't qualify for low-income aid. He fell into policy's blind spot. Not bad enough to be helped, but can't claim normal life either. This is middle collapse. The bottom of the middle class is massively falling behind, but slowly enough to avoid alarm, hidden enough to not make news. They're living proof of one fact. In contemporary America, the distance between having housing and living in a car might just be one layoff, one illness, one landlord's rent increase notice. Stability has transformed from a basic right into a luxury item. Truth 5. Formation of the 2025 perfect storm. Why specifically 2025? Because all negative factors reached critical mass this year. Economic level. Post-inflation aftermath persists. Median rent up 18% year over year, while real wage growth only 3.8%. The gap is unprecedented. Legal level. After the Supreme Court ruling, 178 cities across 46 states passed anti-camping laws, forcing street homeless into cars. Social level. Pandemic-era rent moratoriums all expired, eviction bans lifted, hundreds of thousands face housing crisis. Psychological level. Economic uncertainty causes middle-class security to collapse. Car dwelling transforms from extreme choice to rational risk avoidance. Federal data shows 771,480 people in homeless status on a single night in 2024. The 18% annual growth rate is the highest on government record. But what's truly chilling isn't the number. It's the normalization trend behind it. A Reddit post got reposted 500,000 times. I work full-time at an Amazon warehouse, sleep in my car in the parking lot. I'm not lazy, I just can't afford rent. And my manager? He sleeps in his car too. When having a job but living in a car becomes a phenomenon people can openly discuss, when more and more people start sharing car-dwelling life hacks, we know this is no longer isolated cases, but manifestation of systemic crisis. Media starts featuring content like top 10 car living tips or how to live elegantly in your car. Seems pragmatic, but it's actually numbing treatment of crisis. An Oregon former restaurant manager said it well. 3 years ago, if someone said they lived in a car, I'd think it was personal failure. Now, I live in my car myself and know at least 10 people like me. We're not failures. We're rational outputs of this economic model. When crisis gets redefined as new normal, when survival strategies get beautified as lifestyle choices, we lose the motivation to change. That's the scariest thing about 2025. Not that 770,000 people are homeless, but that we're starting to accept this number as normal. Epilogue. The question at the end of the parking lot. Let's face the core question. Is this temporary economic adjustment or permanent structural transformation? If the trend continues, by 2030 we might see car-dwelling communities become part of urban planning. Insurance companies launch mobile dwelling insurance. Job applications ask for vehicle type instead of address. Sociologists create new vocabulary to describe this class. This isn't science fiction, it's reasonable extrapolation along current trajectory. The deeper question, what kind of future are we willing to accept as a society? An America that views living in cars as an acceptable lifestyle? Or an America that confronts the housing crisis and rebuilds the social contract? Every car parked in the darkness is a crossroads of choice. Now I want to hear your voice. You think the car-dwelling phenomenon is A. Temporary phenomenon in an economic cycle. B. Long-term sign of a shattered American dream. C. Reflection of diversified personal choices. D. Social crisis requiring systemic solutions. Tell me in the comments. This isn't just an academic question. It's a real issue affecting all our futures. Because in an America with continuously rising rent, in an America with stagnant wage growth, in an America where the middle class keeps getting squeezed, people sleeping in cars today might be us tomorrow. If this video made you think, please like and share. Subscribe to the channel. Every week we explore crucial social truths ignored by mainstream media. Remember, understand the truth to change reality. Finally, when you drive home tonight, notice those vehicles parked in corners. Windows might have blackout curtains. Driver's seat might be reclined into a bed. Back seat might be piled with all of life's belongings. Inside isn't data, isn't statistics, but living people, Americans just like you and me, except their American dream is now folded into a cramped car cabin. This is America in 2025, an America in parking lots.